On the 28th of December 2020, I was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumour. I remember my parents telling me that there just simply are words that no parent ever wants to hear when they've brought up a child themselves, and it just completely ripped them in half in a way. And more specifically, it was a midbrain germinoma that caused life-threatening hydrocephalus, which is swelling in my brain caused by an increase in pressure, and it affected my pituitary gland, eyesight, balance, as well as cognition, so my movement around places. Over the following days and weeks, I had several interventions, including biopsy, a ventriculostomy and a lumbar puncture. Furthermore, I had numerous assessments done, including thirst tests. As the tumour had damaged my pituitary gland, it meant I had no hormones, as my brain doesn't send signals to my glands to produce them. I was very poorly and needed lots of help from the endocrine team to help replace all of my lost hormones. At the end of January 2021, I found out I was to have 5 weeks of proton beam radiotherapy at the Christies hospital in Manchester. This involved me living down in Manchester with my family, which was very hard, and as it was through COVID restrictions, as it was during the second COVID lockdown. Prior to my radiotherapy treatment, I spent 5 days at the Christie having my mask and vac sac fitted ready for starting my radiotherapy treatment. During this week, I become very unwell again with recurring hydrocephalus and spent 3 nights in Manchester Children's Hospital. I had a VP shunt inserted into my brain, which drains CSF from my brain into my abdomen. This also caused basically a massive scar down the back of my head, and that was still sort of when I had a lot of my hair there still from as it was prior to my treatment. On the 17th February 2021, I began my 5-week period of proton beam radiotherapy at the Proton Beam Radiotherapy Centre at the Christies in Manchester. During my 5 weeks of treatment, I had 25 sessions of proton beam radiotherapy in total, with 15 sessions targeted at my brain and spine and 10 sessions targeted to my brain only. Just like my mask and bed fitting sessions, I remember having to stay very still for multiple hours while my treatment was taking place. Thankfully, on Wednesday 24th March 2021, I proudly rang the end of treatment bell at the Christies in Manchester, which is something that I remember very vividly, and it's also something, again, like starting my treatment, I never thought I would be able to or get to at the end of basically fighting for my life for 3 months straight. I, like most people, believe that when you finish cancer treatment, everything is immediately going back to normal. However, I was wrong. Over the following months, my hair began to gradually fall out, and it started to look like I had cancer. I was also unable to walk very well, and the fatigue caused by recurring hydrocephalus and proton beam radiotherapy was horrendous, and I started to feel ill. I also lost my appetite, which caused me to eat very little at meal times. The fatigue caused the hydrocephalus tumour, and radiotherapy lasted for 18 months. I had to go to daily physiotherapy to build up my strength and fitness back up. This was a very difficult time for me and my family, especially as I was very active and sporty before my diagnosis. Another hard time in my journey is when I found out I had to move back a year in school, despite me not initially wanting to. Early on in 2021, I was in school for 1 lesson, and I gradually built up my time in school slowly over the 2 years post-treatment. In June 2021, I began to feel very tired, vomiting, and felt very unwell. My parents took me to the RVI in Newcastle, where it was discovered my VP shunt had stopped working. This meant I underwent emergency brain surgery and had my shunt revised. I had a wound on the back of my head and once again felt very ill and tired and lethargic. I did my GCSEs in May/June 2023 after returning to school for only 3 days a week. I had Mondays and Fridays off school. I did really well in my exams and started sixth form in September 2023. I now have yearly scans, 6 monthly endocrine appointments, and have recently been discharged from the eye hospital at the RVI. This is something after having scans first of all weekly and then monthly, so it's a very slow process, but I'm finally so glad I got to where I am now. I feel incredibly proud of myself when I look back at what I have been through. To be able to get through being so close to having my life taken away from me at the young age of 14 is quite incredible. From an early age, I never in a million years thought I would have to go through things like cancer treatment and brain surgery. However, I had to have all of this done, and it was my only option. Before my diagnosis, my mental health had always been good, and I am very lucky to say this. During my proton beam radiotherapy and time in hospital before and after this, I never used social media apps as much as I usually did. I also realised that people didn't really reach out to me as much as they had done in the past. At the time, this didn't really bother me as I had a much bigger battle to get through. I remember on the day I finished my treatment and proudly rang the end of treatment bell, only a few of my close friends congratulated me and checked up on me. As soon as my very close friend group, which included a person who texted me every single day after my treatment to see how I was doing, found out that I was moving back a year, they stopped texting me. I had also noticed that they had taken me off things like their private stories on Snapchat. As a result of this, I remember feeling incredibly lonely and let down throughout summer 2021 before starting my New Year group in September 2021. I still sometimes feel a bit low in mood, and I accept this as part of what I have gone through and who I am. I received cognitive behavioural therapy twice to help me with aspects of my mental health. I can always get in touch with Dr. Sarah Verity at the RVI, who always helps me and is just simply amazing. I met Dr. Sarah Verity, my neuropsychologist, very early on in my treatment. This is around the time of February 2021. She did a set of cognitive tests prior to my Proton beam radiotherapy starting, and I have seen her regularly. Sarah is basically so amazing and supportive, and also is kind and reassuring, and we've become very close over the past couple of years, especially since starting my counselling with her early this year. She has helped me with processing what has happened and my continued recovery. I am on a methylphenidate trial run by GNCH, the Great North Children's Hospital, which has helped me enormously in my daily life, school and schoolwork. It helps my processing speed and has enabled me to go on to study A-levels at sixth form. Without Sarah's help, I would have struggled so much with school and to pass my GCSEs. So she's helped a lot, and I really can't really say that enough. And yeah, she's amazing. There's always light at the end of the tunnel basically with these things, and there's always some positive things on the other side, and just try and stay as positive you can during anyone going through treatment right now, and just make sure your friends are okay all the time and ask how they're doing, especially if you know they're going through something. Give them a text as much as you can to make sure they're okay, because you can feel very lonely like myself at the time. Right now, I feel incredibly proud of myself for getting through something which I never thought in a million years I or anyone I really know well would have to go through. I am a proud cancer survivor, which on itself might not sound a lot, but when, for example, I won a competition to do with Young Lives versus Teenage Cancer Trust, and you went down to the Royal Albert Hall in London to see a band, and there was about 10 of us there who were all cancer survivors, and you meet them and ask about their journey, you just feel really sort of proud of yourself to be part of a team, which is a lot more common than you might think in life. Looking back on everything, I realised how close I was to dying as well, which is I think that sort of speaks for itself how big that is when your life can be so close to getting taken away from you. I have worked so hard the past 3 years and have achieved so much. For example, becoming a proud ambassador for Thomas Trust here, and also for getting through my GCSEs and helping people out in schools and becoming prefects. Everything like that is just makes you feel even more proud of yourself. Through adversity, some good things come as well. For instance, I remember coming over my treatment one day and I was doing some like DJ mixing in my car on my laptop, which is something I did years prior to that. And although I might have fallen out of it a little bit since then, I'll still always have a big passion for it, because that was something that really helped me take my mind off everything at the time and having a distraction to have really basically from that. I think one bit of advice is that, as mentioned a bit earlier on, there's always something good that comes out of something so bad. You might think this is your life detrimentally changed for the rest of your life, and for me it has. Like my eyesight, I'll still always get double vision. It's something I've had to embrace, but there is always something good that you can even just helping someone out one day and say thank you. There's always something good that comes out of something so bad. And again, like stuff mentioned in the previous question, you could become a cancer survivor, whatever it is, or just for someone having to go through cancer, that's a remarkable thing in itself. I feel much more positive about the future now. I think, for example, before I was unwell 3 or 4 years ago at my diagnosis, I didn't really know what I fully wanted to do in life, in my job, or what route I really want to go down. But I think, and this should never happen to anyone in the world, but I think when you go through something so bad in life and you become an ambassador for a charity that helps people out who are going through stuff you've been through, it gives you much more sort of narrow career path of what you sort of want to go down, and I feel much more sort of positive and happy that there is something there for me when I leave in the future. And I have to say that some days are difficult. I felt very fatigued due to my cognition problems, especially after treatment. I was, like I said before, I was only like 1 hour a week in school when I first went back before my shunt replacement. And having numerous hormones problems can contribute to fatigue too. I've decided not to go to university, and I want to train to be a teaching assistant in a special needs school, hopefully, which is what I've done a lot of work experience at now. And it's made me a lot more understanding of people who have these disabilities, because I've got a disability myself now. I know what it's like to not be sort of the same as everyone else. as you might be able to put it. I also volunteer at a local music charity, so I want to keep on doing this and keep on playing my keyboard, which is something I might have fell out of love a little bit since my treatment. But again, I remember a photo mum and dad took really early on when I had no hair and a massive scar on my head. I was sitting there at my keyboard just playing away, and it's just something I have a massive passion for. So that's sort of how I feel about my future right now. So I think the number one reason why people should support Tom's Trust, even if you have had, which is probably the most people hopefully, never had or really known someone who's gone through something like what I've been through, it's just because they are just so amazing and so fabulous for what they do. It's the only charity in the UK which provides mental health support to children and their families with brain tumours, which I think again is just quite incredible as well. There's also focus on the physical aspects of brain tumours and their effects, but not much emphasis on the psychological aspect of brain tumours and their impact, because I think sometimes get underlooked with all the things that happen after treatment. I thought, mentioned before, my treatment, I'll be back to normal the day I rang the bell, and it's such a longer road after that. So I think what Tom's Trust do as well, they offer so much support after people finish treatment and to help in schools. You know, I just think that's a really big thing as well. So I think that a young ambassador is someone who represents Tom's Trust, and we have all been through a cancer diagnosis, so we know exactly what it's like to go through something that I know lots of children very, very sadly will be suffering amongst the world and the country, our country especially. We also raise awareness about brain tumours and their devastating impact they have on children or young people and their families. We give help and support as well as hope to other people and families, and we tell our stories and show how we have overcome adversity. I've always had a massive passion for helping out people. Feeling that I can help others is something I like about being a young ambassador. I understand what others are going through a lot more as I've been through there and experienced it firsthand, and Tom's Trust has supported me on my journey and has helped me process my feelings as well. I'd absolutely recommend people to become a young ambassador for this. I can't express how amazing charity is. If you go inside my heart and see how much I appreciate it, you'll see how big it is for this charity.